When we were chatting earlier, you mentioned that it's important not to automate manual operations, but rather modify operations to leverage automation. I think this is a really important point that sets the stage for our discussion today. Can you elaborate a little bit more behind that?
That is, one of the aspects I've seen a lot of mistakes made through my career is, people look at a manual operation and they say, okay, we want to automate it. And what I found is, one, manual operations were developed and designed to optimize using people to handle them. When you try to automate those, that becomes a very costly way to do it. And, the better approach is to rethink those processes to leverage the benefits of automation.
Great. So a client comes to you and they've been given a task to automate something. Maybe that mission came from a boss, or maybe that they self-imposed that they have this automation desire. How do you help them navigate the different candidate processes that may have? What would be a first good piece of advice for them to get started?
Many times, um, you ask them to take a step back, and because sometimes they'll come to you, all right, we want to do this, we want to automate this, and you end up asking them, okay, I understand that you want to, but why? Why did you pick that specific operation? Is what are you trying to achieve? So many times they may say, okay, maybe they want to reduce costs, or maybe they want to improve their delivery of something. And getting back to all right, what are you trying to achieve? And then let's take a step back and find the best way to do that to achieve the objective you're going for versus going right towards a specific technology. I want to implement this new widget that we saw online.
Have there been situations where a customer has approached you with an idea to automate a process and you had to gently let them know that either that might not be the best first place to start, or that idea required an overhaul?
Yeah, many times, and because many times, let's say that they may even go to a trade show or something and see a specific technology, and I want that. And many times you have to then go through the education process. Like, okay, that's a great technology. Let's look at your operations and see if that's going to perhaps provide you the best return on investment, or maybe there's an alternative that may be better. And again, it all comes back to a bit of that educational aspect.
Without naming any names, can you provide a concrete example of that? Or do you notice that there are certain, in your experience over the years, are there concrete examples of where customers you've seen routinely maybe start to go down the wrong path and automating a process that may not be the best place to start, or um, attempting to automate without taking certain considerations in mind?
Yeah, and the probably the best example always is um, where a customer has a manual operation, and let's say, hey, we currently go down the aisles and we pick items and go from location to location to pick those items. We want to automate that. Okay, well, if you tried to automate that process, you would try to replicate exactly what they're doing. But the more conventional approach, or let's say that the approach that has a better ROI, is leveraging automation to do goods to person. So a goods to person type of automation approach, no one would ever do that manually. No one is currently having someone go to a location, grab a box, bring it to someone else to pick an item out and then bring it back. No one's doing that manually for good reason. It's not efficient. But that's probably the best example of where you change the process to leverage automation.
If their manual process currently achieves the same end, the means that they're doing to achieve that end are
Exactly,
drastically different.
exactly. The process is different. You're what's the goal? So, hey, we have many different SKUs that we need to fill in an order and ship out a box. Okay, so let's look at the available technologies, if you will, to do that as efficiently as possible.